Ever sensed a sudden chilling shift in your home, so profound that it disrupts everything you once believed in? I experienced that change when the usual hugs and kisses stopped. Each day that passed, my heart sank deeper as the foundation of trust we had built over years began to crumble under her secrets. As I pieced together the fragments of betrayal, a complex mixture of pain and vengeance took root. Yet amidst the chaos, a small part of me, the little bit that may have still loved her, feels guilty for what I did. This is my story. Enjoy watching it. My wife of 20 years chose to have a year-long secret love story with someone she worked with who was 15 years younger than her. To catch her in the act, I pretended I was doing the same thing while I secretly gathered proof of her affair. For most of 2022, I decided to get a divorce in early summer and put together all the proof I had found by late October. I sent binders full of this evidence to all her close friends and family to arrive right before Thanksgiving. I left one of those binders with a note about the divorce on my pillow next to my phone and my lawyer's card while she was sleeping on Thanksgiving Eve. Then I disappeared from her life as everything started falling apart for her after Thanksgiving. It was really hard, believe me, waiting quietly for almost a whole year, keeping to my plan. There were so many times I just wanted to shout it all out. It might have been healthier to do just that, but I needed to make sure it left a mark. It had to hit hard. A tiny part of me, the small piece that might still have feelings for her, feels bad about what I did, but it's a very tiny part. It's not keeping me up at night. Hope you're ready for a long story because this tale goes from the end of 2021 to just last week. To follow the rules, I've changed all the names in this story. Here's the start of it. My wife Sarah and I were high school sweethearts, starting to date in 1995 when we were both 17. We're both 43 now, and we've been together ever since. She's the only woman I've ever been with. We got married 5 years later at 22, right after college. A year after that, we welcomed the first of our two sons, now 21 and 16. I spent 20 years with her, built a house for her, worked really hard to give her the life she wanted. Yes, we hit some rough patches, but doesn't every marriage? Even in the hardest times, we somehow made it through and came out stronger. That's why finding out she was having an affair was such a shock. Let's go back to April 2022 when I first felt something was off. For the 2 months before, things between us were not great. After I hurt my knee really bad at work in late 2021, it was a big injury to my knee ligament. I was in a tough spot. I could only move my knee a little bit, around 55. It made things at home hard. I was getting money since I was hurt at work but couldn't do my usual chores at home, so a lot piled up. My sons helped with what they could, but some stuff only I or my wife could do, and with me down, she had to pick up my slack, which she didn't like. Even our time as a couple was not the same. It went from slow to none because of how I was during those months. My wife, let's call her Kelly, started to hang out more after work with her mates. It happened a lot from December 2021 to April 2022. I didn't think much of it. We've been together 20 years and I've never had to worry. We both had our friends and it was cool. But come January, I felt something was off. Kelly was more cold to me. Even though we were having a hard time, she never used to cut me off like this. She stopped being warm, no more hugs or kisses. Before, she was always on her phone but shared everything with me. Cool finds on the web, laughs. Now she kept her phone close and got mad easily. By April, the city was in lockdown. Our jobs were still on because they were seen as key jobs, so we didn't stay at home for work. During this time, Kelly was gone a lot with work friends, more than usual. At first, I was okay with it because we always trusted each other. Then in January, things felt strange. Kelly wasn't warm anymore, no more little signs of love. She always had her phone, which wasn't new. But now she hid it from me. She got short with me like talking was a bother. So now it's April, and the whole city's in lockdown. We're still going to our jobs because they're important ones. After being told I could go back to work after 5 long months at home because of my knee injury, I was more than ready to dive back in. Being stuck at home, unable to do much, really got to me. I love staying active, practicing martial arts, hitting the gym 4 days a week, and working on various projects around the house. So when my work gave me the green light, I was pumped to get moving again. Just a short while into the global lockdown, my wife, whom I'm now splitting from, said she had to work extra hours. At first, I didn't think much of it. Considering her job, I figured she'd be busy a couple of days here and there. But then it turned into every single day, coming home 3 or more hours late, heading straight for a shower, spending a little bit of time with me and our 16-year-old kid. Our 21-year-old lives across town with his girlfriend, before calling it a night. Eventually, as I got better at moving around on my knee, we started being close again. But something was off. She seemed distant, not really there with me. By the time May rolled around, things were starting to add up, and not in a good way. I couldn't shake the feeling that she was seeing someone else. All the signs were there. That's when I hit the internet looking for what to watch out for if your partner might be cheating. And there it was. Everything I was seeing from her was listed. Next, I needed proof. I went through her Facebook, scanning posts and photos from the past few months. There were the usual shots of us and our boys, her outings with friends, and then something caught my eye. There were quite a few photos of her with co-workers, including some folks I didn't recognize. But one guy kept showing up over and over, always too close for comfort, his arm around her or his hand on her lower back. I couldn't ignore it anymore. The more I looked, the clearer it became. The late nights, the distance, the strange guy always too close in photos. I was starting to see the full picture, and it wasn't one I wanted to be in. Way too close for comfort with a guy I had never met. That really left a bad taste in my mouth. But that was just the start of it. Oh no, the real kicker was finding out that this guy was a friend of hers on Facebook and also followed her on Instagram. So I tried to look this guy up on Facebook, and what do I find? I'm blocked. Why on earth can I not see this guy's Facebook, but he's friends with her? That set off all my alarm bells. Suddenly, I felt like I was in detective mode. I wasn't in denial anymore. I was pretty sure she was seeing this guy behind my back. My goal now was to uncover how long this had been going on. And that's what I did over the next 2 months. You wouldn't believe the kind of stuff you can find out from phone, text, and email records until you start looking. We shared a family plan for our phones, and I found a lot of interesting data. The 2 numbers she had been calling and texting the most from December 2021 to June 2022 were mine and one I didn't recognize. Guess who the unknown number belonged to? A quick Google search confirmed it was that same guy who had blocked me on Facebook. Let's just call him the jerk because that fits. Things started to make more sense now, but a lot of their messages and texts were missing, which meant she was deleting a lot of them. I knew she was seeing this guy, but I didn't have concrete proof. I needed more. That's when I talked to my best buddy Mike about what was going on. He asked if I had confronted her with what I knew, and I said no because I didn't have enough evidence. He then tells me about this app that could let me spy on her messages in real time. I won't say the name because I'm not sure if that's allowed here. I got it installed, connected it to our data plan, and waited. A few days later, I finally saw it. The story doesn't end here, rather. It unfolds further, diving deep into the sea of technology and betrayal. The evidence was right there on my screen, clearer than daylight messages, calls, plans. They were all laid out. Every ounce of trust and love built over the years crumbled in moments. I was torn between confrontation and disbelief. Weeks turned into a blur as I wrestled with the truth in front of me. Yet this revelation was a bitter pill that offered clarity. It was a hard lesson on trust and the shadows cast by doubt. In the end, the evidence I gathered served as the undeniable truth that would steer the course of my next actions. It wasn't just about catching her in the act. It was about coming to terms with the reality of our broken relationship. The journey from suspicion to confirmation was long and painful, but it led me to a crossroad between holding on and letting go. The chat between them talked about how much fun they had last night and making plans to meet up again that weekend. That hit me like a ton of bricks. I was more than just hurt, I was shattered. That day felt like the day for me. and for the next couple of days, I was just a wreck. I kept my distance from her right after that day, and she could tell something was off. She tried to make things better, asking what was wrong, but I just couldn't deal with her. I couldn't even look her way. This woman who I spent 20 long years with, I did everything for her as a husband, and yet she chose to go behind my back with someone much younger. By day 3, my sadness turned into anger. I got in touch with Mike to tell him my fears were true, and when he asked if I had talked to her about it, I said no. I told him I wanted revenge. I didn't just want to leave her, I wanted to make her regret everything, to tear her world apart. This was going to take a while, but I had a plan. There was this quote I found about cheating, saying its biggest threat was being unpredictable. That was my angle. I would turn her life into a nightmare while also planning my way out quietly. Now, in early August, I still have the app. Every night I was collecting their chats. They were talking as if they were truly together, sexting, sweet nothings, even nudes. They were doing it all. By then, I couldn't even bear to look, but I kept saving everything on my private server. Meanwhile, I started acting out of the norm. I went out at random times, coming home later than her. I wanted to make her feel uneasy, guessing at my next move. While doing all this, I was also preparing to leave her for good. I would make sure she would feel the loss as much as I felt betrayed. This was more than just walking away. It was about leaving a mark that she'd remember forever. Every time she's nearby, I find myself glued to my phone way more than usual. If she asks what I'm doing, I shrug it off with just stuff and hide my phone away. Since we got married, we never kept secrets. But then around the time I think she started her affair, she changed all her passwords, even on Facebook and her phone. She said it was because of security issues. Yeah, right. More like a good way to keep her affair hidden from her husband. I let my buddy Mike know about what I was planning. I also told my older sister and 2 closest friends. I trust them more than anyone. A little side note, Mike and I go way back to our childhood days, and the others, Jake and Nick, have been in our circle since high school. Remember Nick? She'll pop up again later. When September rolls around, my soon-to-be ex is acting all worried. She's always texting or calling, asking if I'll be home when she gets there, wondering where I am when she's home alone, always curious about what I'm up to. It looks like the doubt I planted in her mind is growing. She's even talking to her cheating buddy, the jerk, about how she thinks him the one pulling away. I mean, the nerve of her. During one of their chats, she even says they should stop meeting up at our place because she's scared I might catch them. Yep, she's been bringing this jerk into our home. Thanks, Kelly. The jerk even asked her if she was worried I might be cheating. That made her mad. You wouldn't believe how much I enjoyed that, my cheating wife mad at the idea of me cheating. So there I was, getting a kick out of this mess. My friends knew my plan, but we all kept it under wraps, especially from my wife. It's funny how secrets and doubts can twist up a situation, making even the guilty ones feel guilty. And through all of this, my close-knit group of friends, Mike, Nick, my sister, and Jake, they were my rock, keeping me grounded as my world turned upside down. So picture this. I'm not seeing anyone else. Most times when I head out, I'm either at Mike's or Jake's, just chilling, watching fights, and hanging out with my pals, or I'm over at my big sister's place, spending time with her and her husband, who's pretty much like an older bro to me. My sister is 51, and her man is 57. She had spilled the beans to him about my soon-to-be ex's cheating, but not about my plan. Had to keep it hush-hush since he's known to talk too much. Now let's jump ahead to October. That's when things start to really shake. By this time, I've been pretending to have an affair for 3 months, and Kelly is super suspicious that I'm drifting away. It's been from day 1 of my plan to October 20th, 2022, that I hadn't touched her. No hugs, no kisses, no sign of love, nothing. Not that she was missing it, since she was still meeting up with that other guy, either at his place or motels. So on that day, she calls me at work, which used to be common but hadn't happened in ages, and asks me to come home right after work because she has something important to share. Honestly, part of me thought she might finally admit to her cheating, but of course, she didn't. I get home, and she's all worried, asking me if I'm unhappy. The nerve, really. She noticed I've been away a lot, not showing her any love, and that our bedroom life is dead. She even says she's worried I'm pulling away because I'm still upset about how she acted when I was fixing my knee. And then the shocker, she actually asks if I'm cheating on her. I just lost it, laughing so hard on the floor. To her, it might have looked like I was laughing off the idea of me being unfaithful, but really, I was laughing at the total irony of the moment. Imagine the scene, me not involved with anyone. Most evenings, you'd find me either at Mike's or Jake's, sipping drinks, watching fights, and just hanging with friends, or I'd be at my elder sister's home, enjoying time with her and my brother-in-law, who's more or less another big brother to me. My sister's 51, her husband's 57. She'd shared with him about my soon-to-be ex cheating, but kept my schemes secret due to his tendency to spill the beans. Fast forward to October, that's when everything really starts to get interesting. At this point, I've been playing away for 3 months, and Kelly is very much aware I'm moving away from her. It's been since the start of my plan to October 20th, 2022, since I'd last shown her any affection. No hugs, no kisses, nothing. Not that she was lacking any. She still saw that jerk either at his spot or at motels. Then on that day, she rings me at work, something that hadn't happened in a long while, asking me to rush home after because she had something important to reveal. Part of me half expected her to confess to her affair, but that wasn't it. I get home, and she's all serious, quizzing me if I'm unhappy with us. The gall of it. She points out my time spent away, the lack of affection, and our dead bed life. She even wonders aloud if I'm acting distant because I'm sore over her past coldness during my knee rehab. And then the climax, she asks straight up if I'm cheating on her. I couldn't help it. I burst into laughter right there on the floor. To her, it might have seemed like I was laughing off her suspicion, but really, I was howling at the sheer irony unfolding before me. I burst into tears, slamming my fist on the ground, lost in a wild fit of sadness for a couple of minutes until I could get a grip on myself. For the first time in ages, I locked eyes with her, shaking my head without saying a word. I got up, dusted myself off, planted a kiss on her forehead, and started getting ready for bed. That night, while in my study, curiosity got the best of me. Thinking about the day's events, I decided to check her messages, and there it was. She was chatting with him right there and then. She told the guy, "Let's call him Jerk. I think he's seeing someone else. I asked him tonight and he just laughed in my face, like he hit the floor laughing for what felt like forever. He definitely doesn't care about how I feel. I don't get it, but I feel him slipping away. It's like this is my bad karma." The grin on my face as I read that was probably huge. She was becoming undone. The jerk tried to make her feel better, saying if I really cared, she wouldn't have turned to him for what I wasn't providing her. But I could tell by how she replied she was starting to second-guess herself. She dared to cheat on me while I was down because of a real health setback and kept it up for almost a full year. And now the thought of losing me to someone else suddenly made her unsure. What a joke. Meanwhile, I was moving ahead with my own plan for revenge, getting all my money matters sorted out. By September, I had talked to a family lawyer to start the process for divorce. Armed with all the evidence I had collected on Kelly's cheating, New York makes you prove fault in divorce, and with all I had on her affair, I was set to really make her regret it in court. My lawyer told me to get all my money stuff sorted because we might have to split things up soon. I went a step further. I took all our shared money and moved it to my own account. I also started looking for a new place to live as part of my next steps. Now it's October, and I'm not stopping. In fact, I'm doing more. This is where my buddy Nick comes in. To give you some background, Nick and Kelly have never really got on. I met Nick when we were both in the first year of high school, 2 years before I met Kelly. Right from the start, Kelly seemed to think Nick was some sort of threat, because she's my closest girlfriend. Kelly never said it out loud, but you can just tell. And Nick, she's not exactly Kelly's biggest fan either. When Kelly and I started dating, Nick pointed out how Kelly was always trying to hang out with my friends, but I never did that with Kelly's friends. Nick didn't like that because she thought Kelly was trying to push her out. Among Kelly's friends, there aren't any guys, just like Nick is the only girl in my group of friends. Nick had been stuck abroad because of the pandemic and got back to New York City on October 3rd. Me and my friends, Mike and Jake, thought we'd have a small get-together to welcome her back. Just us, Jake's wife, who is also Nick's sister, Nick, and me. We kept it small, just 5 of us, following health rules because we're really careful about the virus. Nick, who likes to cause a bit of trouble, had a cheeky idea to stir things up with Kelly. She thought we should take some photos that look like the ones I found of Kelly and some guy a while back and post them on my Facebook. So that's what we did. It took a couple of days before Kelly saw the photos, as I guess some of our friends saw them and thought I looked way too close to Nick. This really messed with her head, since she continued to feel that I was cheating on her. I can almost promise that she wanted to accuse Nick of cheating, but she was aware that Nick had been unable to leave Europe for most of the year. However, this did not prevent her from attempting to dress me down that evening because she was so handsy in the pictures. The opportunity to deliver the lead jab for my knockout strike was a fantastic opportunity for me, and I took advantage of it. "What about the pictures that were taken with you and Jerk from the previous year?" I asked. He had a good deal of dexterity in them. On the other hand, did you see me getting absolutely worked up over it? In the headlights, my dear. Throughout the entirety of this, it was the very first time that I had ever uttered the individual's name. During the time that she was attempting to explain away those pictures, the hamster wheel that was spinning in her thoughts began to spin in real time. Even up to that moment, she had no idea that I had seen them. That's how seldom I use Facebook. The fact that the pictures I took with Nick in particular gained a lot of attention among our respective circles is due to the fact that when I rarely upload something, it is like an event to others. And she did try to explain it away. Hes that way with everyone. He's just a really friendly guy. I can see how it looks, but there's nothing there. I'm sorry if those pictures caused you any pain. I'm going to remove them. Not at all. It's not the pictures that are hurting me. What has caused me the most pain is the fact that you have been seeing the guy for an entire year, while simultaneously lying to me about working additional hours and hanging out with friends. The famous quote attributed to Lieutenant Commander Worf from Star Trek The Next Generation states that vengeance is a dish best served cold. Since that night, Kelly has been acting in a manner that is very possessive and attentive to me, like in a very annoying way. Whenever she made an attempt to initiate affection and closeness with me, I would stand in her way and refuse to get involved. I am continuing to record everything that she is saying to Jerk throughout this entire process. Please keep in mind that by this point, I had already become numb. My marriage was on the verge of dissolution, and I had no desire to save it. On the day that I put the first element of my plan into action, I had checked out. She has confided in him that I have become even more difficult. The fact that she is at a loss for what to do, and that she has the impression that I despise her completely. Yes, I am. Then comes the shocking revelation. She told him she couldn't see him anymore. She felt too guilty and like bad luck was all over her. She didn't want to lose me. She said she loved him a lot, but she was still in love with me and had to save our marriage before it was too late for us. But in my mind, she was already too late by about 8 months. He got very upset, telling her things like he doesn't love you like I do and you're making a big mistake. You can't just toss me aside. Those were the last words they shared until about 3 weeks ago. Through November and December, Kelly was stuck trying to figure out what was going on in my mind and if I was being untrue, all while he kept sending her messages nonstop, but she never replied. I saw her look at her phone a lot and then quickly put it away. Meanwhile, I was moving forward with my plan. The divorce was ready. I had gotten myself a small place in Riverdale, New Yorkers would know it, and signed up to live there for 2 years. All my money was safe in my own account. I was ready for my big move. Now it was Thanksgiving. My eldest and his girlfriend were having a small dinner for our close family. It was them. Her parents, since she's an only child, me, Kelly, and our youngest. We all had a great time. My son's girlfriend is learning to be a cook, and she made the whole meal. She's really good at it, let me tell you. Because I had to act like everything was fine between Kelly and me, I showed her some affection that night. Quick kisses, small hugs, and putting my arms around her. She seemed to really like it. Remember, this was the first time I had really touched her since the night she talked to me in October, nearly 2 months before. I won't lie. I didn't want to do it, but I had to. So there we were at Thanksgiving trying to act normal. My oldest and his girl put on a great dinner for all of us. Just our close family. She's got cooking skills that are out of this world. Even though it felt weird, I made sure to be warm with Kelly to keep everyone thinking things were okay between us. Those little moments of closeness were probably a big deal for her after everything. But for me, they were tough. Yet it was all part of the plan I had to stick to. I was unable to take the risk of the plan and the fact that I was remaining away from her in front of my boys, my oldest girlfriend, and her parents would cause sirens to go out. Kelly and I decided to go home because my younger child has made the decision that he would like to spend the night with his older brother. She expresses her gratitude to me for being so kind to her and says, "I don't know what you're going through, baby," when we are driving back to our house. However, I am here for you. When I was about to burst out laughing uncontrollably once more, I had to restrain myself and react by saying, "It is true. All I need is some time." On that particular evening, we engaged in sexual activity for the very first time since the springtime. What the heck, I thought to myself. With what I'm going to do, I might as well get some activity in before I completely remove her from my existence. There was no lovemaking involved, but I won't go into further detail. She was a mass of flesh attempting to figure out the direction of the truck that ran her over when I finished. She was lying there trying to figure out what happened, not even a hug or anything else after that. After taking a shower, I headed straight to my office to get some rest. I just got up. I did, however, use a condom, which caused her perplexity. I accomplished it for the first time in 2 stinking decades. However, she did not inquire about it, despite the fact that she was clearly confused by it. When she knew that she had been doing so with Jerk for several months at that time, she certainly wasn't going to let the knowledge get to her. My handy-dandy Spy app is the first thing I check when I wake up the following day, and for the first time in weeks, she has reacted to Jerk. He went all out with the Nola. It was clear that he had feelings for her. She stated that she was squandering her time by attempting to reignite a spark that had died within me, that she had been in a prison with me for the past 20 years, and that she deserved to feel the love and affection of a guy who would appreciate her. Take into consideration that this individual is 28 years old. Our oldest son is 5 years older than what we have, and he is that much of a surprise for a married mother of 2 who is 43 years old. AS of the highest possible quality and grade. Is it possible that she made the decision to ruin our marriage and the house that we had constructed for this guy? A handsome young man who has a soft side? Holy cow! She answered by saying something that was much the same as what she had said the last time they spoke. Despite the fact that she loves him and looks forward to spending time with him, she cannot let me go. A portion of her heart will always be reserved for him, despite the fact that I continue to be the love of her life. She mentioned that they can continue to be friends if he so wishes, but that their physical relationship is no longer going to exist. During that week, he urged her to visit him one final time, and she agreed to do so. It was obvious. She responded with a yes. Shouldn't we have one more for the road? I have no right to say anything to her because I was the one who did it to her the night before. The archive that I had compiled was, of course, updated to include all of it. It was on November 4th that the third and last phase of the operation known as Ghost Protocol began functioning. There was a copy of the divorce papers in hand, and there was a new dwelling or residence that I had put up. Now I needed to begin the process of gradually relocating my belongings out of the residence. Prior to doing it, however, I had to deliver the news to my sons. That Friday evening, I invited my older children to come to my house, and I invited them to join me in my office, as well as arranged everything over that table. Although I will not go into specifics, I will say that their mother had been unfaithful to me for more than a year, and that I was planning to file for divorce rather soon. Considering that my son, who is 16 years old, had only lately received his first taste of infidelity, he was particularly disturbed by this circumstance. Just 4 months previously, his first girlfriend had cheated on him. That's right. His heart was broken for the second time when he realized that his own mother was capable of doing something like that. This realization affected him hard. My eldest child responded to it in a much more positive manner and proposed that he take his brother in to live with him until this situation is resolved, which I agreed with. After we had finished packing up some of his belongings, he asked me if I was going to be okay. I responded with, "Yes, son, my situation is going to be fine. You are the same way. Things are going to work out for us, I solemnly swear." After that, they left right away. It was now time to arm the nuclear weapons, as the most difficult portion had finally come to an end. Over the course of the subsequent few weeks, Mike would assist me with going out of the house with some of the things that were the most sensitive to me while Kelly and I were at work. I left him the key and gave him a list of everything that was absolutely necessary to get while we were gone. There was nothing that Kelly would have noticed was missing unless you had specifically informed her that it was gone. In addition, I had acquired a new phone and phone number, and I had communicated my new contact information to all of the people who required it, including Mike, Jake, Nick, my boys, my big sister, and my mother. In the meantime, I am continuing to keep Kelly on the edge of her seat, and she is none the wiser. While she is still in communication with Jerk, she is being showered with small tokens of affection in order to divert her attention away from the tracking device. Although it is not to the same amount as it had been in the past, there is still something emotionally charged taking place. Although it is not too thick, the fog is still present. Throughout the entire process, I am collecting everything, and I do mean everything. I will begin printing off all of the information that I have archived since I began the plan, including call logs, text messages, photographs, and emails, among other things. I must have spent more than $1,500 on essential items, everything from printer ink to paper to binders and everything in between. And in the binders, I arranged everything in chronological order, beginning with the commencement of the affair and ending with the most recent bit, which was on November 16th, 2 weeks ago. There are 14 of them. After that, I placed each one in a box, each one in a gift wrapper, and addressed each one to a different person. This includes my mother. My father passed away 7 years ago, her parents, her 2 sisters, her brother, her human resources department. Did I forget to mention that Jerk works for the same company? And there is a rule against intercompany relationships due to the nature of what she does. Several of her friends, Jerk's parents, and Jerk's parents. I had to drag all of those jerks to the post office, and on November 16th, I sent them all out. The estimated time of delivery is between November 22nd and 24th. Absolutely flawless. We're now in the evening of Thanksgiving Eve. I would stop watching Kelly on the app on the 18th, at which point she would have returned home at the regular time. I had no idea if she had seen Jerk. I realized that I had received all of the mileage that I required from it. She takes a shower, hangs out with me for a while. I blow her back out on the couch in the living room. I know I'm a jerk, and then she goes to bed. This is the typical routine. Finally, I was able to enter the final part of the job. The nuclear weapon that I had been preparing to deploy since June was ready to be launched. I was awakened in the middle of the night and wrapped one of the 3 remaining binders with the divorce papers taped to the inside cover. I then placed the binder on my side of the bed, and a message that said "Merry Christmas" was written on it. In close proximity to it, I left my previous phone as well as the business card of my attorney. For the final time, I packed up the remaining goods that were most important to me, which were sufficient to fill 2 bags, and I left the house that I had lived in for the past 20 years. That was exactly 1 week ago, my dear friends. To Kelly, I am utterly disconnected from the outside world. It's gone. This shadow ghosted. Despite the fact that she has blocked me on Facebook, she has not yet blocked me. Therefore, I am keeping an eye on the consequences of this situation. Absolutely, it is a great thing. My packages have been delivered to all of the recipients that I had sent them to, and Kelly is currently being crucified. On the contrary, her younger sister dressed her down totally. She has been deemed unacceptable by both of her parents. My mother completely and utterly ruined her unbelievably. I am aware that my mother has a tendency to be cruel, but the things that she referred to as Kelly were absolutely unholy. She is making frantic efforts to discover whether or not anyone is aware of my location, but those who are aware of my whereabouts are being silent. All over her Facebook feed, she is frantically attempting to get in touch with me, and I'm betting that she is aware that I'm probably looking for her. On the other hand, I will not utter a single word to her except in the presence of my attorney. The subsequent time I will share oxygen with her will be at that moment. Due to the fact that I have made her known to everyone who is significant to her, she is unable to manipulate the story in such a way that would portray me as the antagonist. It has been brought to my attention by a common acquaintance who works in the same company as her that she and Jerk are going to be placed on administrative leave beginning tomorrow. So yes, this is confirmed. There is a good likelihood that she will be without a job by the year 2023. Regarding the latter two binders, well, in that case, one of them has been handed over to my attorney as the final piece of proof for my upcoming divorce, and the other one has been placed in my storage unit with the intention of being burned in Jake's fire pit once the divorce is finalized. This makes me feel guilty, doesn't it? No, that is not even close to being true. 20 years ago, I did the right thing by this woman. I provided her with the house that she desired. Her desire for a family was fulfilled by me. Not only did I love her without conditions, but I also offered her the life that I believed we both deserved. Never in my life have I failed. By no means have I deviated. In my entire life, I had never even considered the possibility of breaking my vows. When a problem arose that I believed was having an impact on our marriage, I went to her and told her about it. Together we worked to resolve the situation as effectively as we could. She made the decision to seek some solace in the bed of another man instead of coming to me and telling me that she was dissatisfied with our sexual life at the time. She made the decision to go out with a young punk who made her feel tingly. Consequently, I do not feel any pity for what I did or for her condition. I don't care if she burns in hell or anyone else. My home, my car, and possibly a couple $100 per month in alimony are the things that I stand to lose the most. However, given that the divorce is being filed under the statute of adultery and New York State is at fault, it is possible that this will be waived due to the overwhelming amount of evidence that I have produced. At this point, she is no longer a part of my life, and I have no intention of ever going back on my decision. When I moved into my new apartment, the first full day I spent there was on Thanksgiving Day. It is still a work in progress because I have more things that I want to purchase, but in general, I have made it my home because I'm going to be here for at least 2 years. For a significant chunk of the day, my lads and the girlfriend of the eldest came over to spend time with me. In addition to preparing a delicious supper, the girlfriend brought over some goodies that she had prepared herself. It was a pleasant experience to be able to sit down and have a conversation with my sons in a manner that I hadn't done in a very long time. In addition, my older sister came over with additional treats and then stuck out with us as well. She hadn't seen her nephews in about a year, so this was the first time she'd seen them. Having all of them there did me a lot of good, because if I had been by myself, I believed that I would have just drunk myself into a stupor. After everyone had left, which was somewhere around 8 p.m., I made the decision that I wanted to go hang out with Jake and his wife, Claudia. After hanging out with them for a couple of hours, followed by having a couple of beers, I returned back to my house. Last week, on December 30th, 2022, the next significant event took place. Nick sends me a text message around the middle of the day inquiring as to whether or not I had any plans for that evening. It was obvious that I was not, so we decided to get together after I finished my shift at work. When she arrives, we head to a diner that is located not too far from where I work in New York City. We are able to enjoy indoor dining at a capacity of 25 thanks to the Rona. However, there is generally no difficulty in obtaining seats because a significant number of us choose to reduce the number of times we eat out these days. Consequently, once we have been seated and placed our orders for meals, Nick places all of her cards on the table. And to tell you the truth, she does so. I had anticipated this happening. When we were both teenagers, she practically admitted that she is similar to me, but she never had the opportunity to tell me about it because Kelly came in and took me away before she could tell me. As a point of reference, I have known Nick for 2 years longer than Kelly has. In addition to me, Mike, and Jake, she has been the fourth member of my social square since high school. We were the social outcasts of the class, children who were involved in raves but did not belong to any of the other cliques. Nick struggled with her weight and was diagnosed with diabetes at that time. Not a single male would ever give her a second look, despite the fact that she was a heavy-set goth chick who was extremely in trend. However, there was always chemistry between us. In the present day, Nick is working as a yoga instructor and a personal trainer. As far as I can tell, she was the ugly duckling that eventually developed into a swan that was very stunning. To cut a long story short, we came to the conclusion that we are going to begin seeing one another once the divorce proceedings involving me have been finalized. As for me, I did, in fact, spend the night with her. I brought her back to my new place, and we had a wonderful time together. Am I embarrassed by the fact that I slept with her? Oh, no way. Nick has been a friend to me who is superior to Kelly at any point in time. However, this does not mean that Kelly was not my closest friend. However, over the nearly quarter of a century that I have known Nick, she has consistently been there for me. The fact that she gladly took a step back from her own sentiments in order to give me the opportunity to pursue Kelly and eventually begin a life with her was one of the most important things I learned that day. This struck a chord with me on a level that I had not anticipated it would strike. That type of selflessness for another person is the essence of what it is to love unconditionally. It's true. At this point, it seems as though I am merely trying to convince myself that sleeping with her was the best choice. To me, it was, and I plan on exploring what's to come with Nick and I with total commitment. Okay, on to yesterday, the day I met my wife and her lawyer to discuss the divorce. It's now been 2 weeks since I ghosted my soon-to-be ex-wife. This past Monday, I got a phone call from my attorney stating that Kelly's attorney has scheduled a meeting for us to discuss the terms of divorce on January 6, 2023, which was yesterday. I met with him that Tuesday morning to discuss the terms. Long story short, uncontested divorce under the grounds of marital neglect from Kelly. My terms are full division of assets and me selling my half of the house ownership to her. She can have it. We keep our respective vehicles. I keep my cabin in the Poconos. And under the pretenses of marital neglect, she gets no spousal support from me. As for our 16-year-old, who we'll refer to as Sam from here on, he's free to choose who he wants to reside with following the divorce, which will most likely be me. So Wednesday comes, and I show up to my lawyer's office dressed in my Johnny Cash best. My wife and her lawyer, she looks like she's barely holding it together. I give the stone face. I won't bore you with the lawyer babble, but her lawyer presented an offer for terms of reconciliation. I shot them down almost as soon as she finished listing the details of the request. Like I said, I'll spare you the details of the meeting. Long story short, we agreed to a legal separation leading to an uncontested divorce. The only revision is that I will pay her $600 a month of temporary spousal support to cover the cost of utilities until she's gainfully employed again. Yep, she got fired for jerk. He got canned as well. Up to a year after the finalization, I make enough that it won't hurt me financially, even if she drags her feet finding a new job. And she's got enough in her savings to live off of for quite some time. Once a full calendar year has passed after the finalization date of the divorce, she's on her own. Small price to pay for being rid of her cheating ass. It'll take roughly 3 months for things to go through, so early April, if there's no cock-ups, I'll be free of her. So after the meeting, my lawyer gives me some final words before telling me he'll be in touch to update me on the progress of the filing. Back out on the street, Kelly chases me down and asks, "Can we talk?" I figured I'd give her at least that. She held it together fairly well in the meeting, but outside she let the waterworks flow, saying how sorry she was and how she never meant it to go as far as it did. She says she never expected to fall in love with Jerk, but knew when she thought I was cheating how wrong it was to betray her own husband in such a way. She asked if I could ever find it in my heart to forgive her, and that maybe in a few years could we try to start over, that she can't imagine what her life is going to be without me. I tell her to start imagining it soon because this will be the last time I ever speak to or see her. I tell her that Sam is almost a man and old enough to make his own choices as to his own future. I say that I gave her half of my life and every ounce of love I had unconditionally, and she, in her own words, fell in love with another man. There is absolutely no chance of me ever forgiving her. All of the love I had for her was slowly killed all of those months that she confided and professed her love to Jerk, rather than coming to me and telling me she had any form of issue with how things were going with us. I told her I loved who she once was, but I hate who stands before me and that if I never see her again, it'll be too soon. There we were on the sidewalk in Midtown Manhattan, her making a scene, crying her eyes out. A couple of folks walk by and give side glances, but at that point I didn't care. I wasn't about to publicly humiliate her. I pretty much already socially and professionally destroyed her, but I needed to get the last bit of emotion I had for her out. I finished by telling her I didn't regret the 20 years I spent being her husband. I regretted that in 20 years she decided the easy way out was the better option. And I have your lovely sons of Reddit to thank for this last one, because it popped in my head just seconds before I said it. For 20 years I thought you were mine, but it turned out it was just my turn. I put in my headphones, turned around, and walked away. Later that night, her father calls me and apologizes. He praises me for always being a good man to his daughter and tells me he's ashamed of her and that he raised her better than what she did. Not going to lie, I'm going to miss the old man. My dad died years ago, so he's always been my default father figure since. But I can't see myself maintaining a relationship with anyone on her side of the family after that call. I went on Facebook and symbolically changed my relationship status to divorced. Yeah, it's not final yet, but in my eyes, it's over and done. Like I said, when I make a post on Facebook, it gets attention. Most of our close friends know what's going on, but it served more as a declaration of intent rather than an official declaration. Mike and Nick have been absolute legends helping me through this shitstorm. I know I still have a way to go, and there will be more obstacles in the road ahead, but for now, I'm in a much better place. I've got a small but great support network that I am incredibly thankful for. In closing, here's my advice for anyone who's been cheated on. Take your time, make a plan, and when you execute it, be absolutely ruthless. Thanks for tuning in to hear this intense story of betrayal and revenge. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more shocking tales. What would you have done in his situation? Let us know in the comments below. See you in the next video.